Have you ever felt stuck in life, like no matter how much you give or how nice you are, success seems just out of reach? Maybe you're constantly helping others, saying yes to everything, but deep down you feel drained and overlooked. Today we're diving into a surprising truth. Being too nice might actually be holding you back. And I'm not just talking about being kind. I'm talking about being a people pleaser without boundaries. Let me explain why this can kill your success and, more importantly, how to fix it. First, let's talk about people pleasing. When you're too nice, your focus shifts from chasing your dreams to chasing approval. You're saying yes to every request, every favor, thinking it'll make you more likable. But here's the cost. You lose your time, you lose your voice, you lose your priorities. Think about it. How many times have you said yes to something you didn't want to do just to avoid hurting someone's feelings? While you're busy taking care of everyone else, your own goals are left unattended. Success demands focus, and focus requires learning how to say no to distractions and demands that don't serve your purpose. Here's another way being too nice destroys success. You allow people to take advantage of you. The truth is, there are people out there who see kindness as a weakness. They'll take as much as you're willing to give, and if you don't set boundaries, they'll drain you emotionally, mentally, and even physically. Yes, being generous is important, but there's a difference between helping others and being used. Without boundaries, you're teaching people that it's okay to take advantage of your time, energy, and resources. And if you're always overgiving, what will you have left to invest in your own dreams? Let's face it, when you're overly concerned about keeping the peace, it's hard to make decisions. You start second-guessing yourself. What will they think if I do this? Will they be upset if I choose that? This indecision can paralyze you, causing you to delay action and miss opportunities. Remember this. Indecision is the thief of opportunity. Success requires decisiveness. Sometimes you have to make tough choices that won't make everyone happy, but they're necessary for your growth. Being too nice often means avoiding conflict and hard conversations. But here's the problem. Avoiding accountability, whether for yourself or others, will slowly erode your standards. Success demands discipline. Sometimes you need to confront poor performance, address issues head on and say, this isn't working, and we need to fix it. When you avoid these moments, things start to unravel. Whether it's an underperforming teammate or your own habits slipping, letting things slide for the sake of being nice will ultimately cost you time, energy, and progress. When you're too nice, you often attract the wrong people, those who take without giving, those who drain your energy instead of inspiring or challenging you. These people will weigh you down, pulling you away from your own path. Success requires surrounding yourself with individuals who push you to grow, not those who pull you off course. Here's the solution. Be selective. Protect your time and energy by setting boundaries. Say no to those who don't contribute to your success. When you make room for the right people, you'll find yourself surrounded by those who respect and support your vision. Let's be clear. Being kind, respectful, and generous are all wonderful traits, but there's a balance. True strength comes from knowing when to say yes and when to say no. It's about understanding that self-respect is just as important as generosity. Set boundaries, make tough decisions, surround yourself with people who uplift you, and remember, success isn't about being liked by everyone. It's about staying true to your goals and values. So the next time you're tempted to say yes out of fear or obligation, ask yourself, is this helping me move forward or is it holding me back? If this resonates with you, let me know in the comments. Have you ever felt stuck because you were too nice? What strategies are you using to set boundaries and take control of your time? Don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more content like this, and share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Remember, kindness with boundaries isn't just nice, it's powerful. People-pleasing is a habit that many of us fall into without realizing its full impact. On the surface, being nice and accommodating seems like a great way to build relationships and create harmony. After all, who doesn't want to be liked? But beneath this seemingly harmless habit lies a dangerous trap that can derail your progress, drain your energy, and ultimately prevent you from reaching your full potential. The essence of the problem is that when you become too focused on making others happy, you lose sight of your own goals and priorities. One of the most significant downsides of people-pleasing is how much time it consumes. Time is your most valuable resource, and how you spend it directly impacts the trajectory of your life. But when you're always saying yes to everyone else's requests, you leave little to no room for yourself. Imagine this: you have a big project you want to work on, something that could push you closer to your dreams. However, instead of dedicating time to it, you find yourself running errands for others, covering shifts, or agreeing to commitments that aren't truly important to you. Each of these small yeses might seem insignificant at the moment, but they add up. By the end of the day, your energy is depleted, and you're left wondering why you haven't made any real progress on your own ambitions. This pattern creates a vicious cycle. The more you focus on pleasing others, the more people come to rely on you. They see you as dependable, which in theory sounds great, but in practice it means you become the go-to person for tasks and favors. And because you're afraid of disappointing them or appearing selfish, you continue to say yes, even when it's at your own expense. Over time, this leads to frustration and resentment. You may start to feel like you're being taken advantage of, but because you've built your identity around being the nice person, you don't know how to break free without feeling guilty. Another issue with people-pleasing is how it diverts your focus. Success requires clarity and a strong sense of purpose. You need to know what you're working toward and have the discipline to prioritize it above distractions. However, when you're constantly trying to keep everyone happy, your focus gets scattered. Instead of moving forward with intention, you're pulled in multiple directions, reacting to the needs of others rather than proactively pursuing your own goals. This lack of focus slows your progress and makes it harder to achieve the kind of success you're capable of. Being overly nice also creates a sense of dependency in your relationships. When you're always accommodating and putting others first, you unintentionally teach people to expect this behavior from you. They may not even realize they're taking advantage of you because you've made it so easy for them. But the truth is, by constantly prioritizing their needs, you're sending the message that your own needs don't matter as much. This dynamic can become toxic, especially if the people around you begin to take your kindness for granted. Another layer to the people-pleaser trap is the fear of conflict or rejection. Many people who fall into this habit are deeply uncomfortable with confrontation. They would rather go along with what others want than risk creating tension or upsetting someone. While this approach might keep the peace in the short term, it often comes at a significant personal cost. By avoiding conflicts, you sacrifice your authenticity, you suppress your true feelings and opinions, which can lead to a loss of self-respect and confidence over time. It's also important to consider the emotional toll of people-pleasing. When you're constantly prioritizing others, it's easy to feel undervalued and unappreciated. Even if people thank you for your efforts, it rarely feels like enough to justify the sacrifices you're making. This can lead to feelings of burnout, resentment, and even bitterness. The irony is that the very behavior you hope would bring you closer to others can end up creating distance. Over time, you might find yourself withdrawing emotionally, feeling isolated, and questioning whether your efforts are truly worth it. Breaking free from the people-pleaser trap requires a shift in mindset. You have to recognize that your time, energy, and goals are just as important as anyone else's. This doesn't mean you stop being kind or helpful. It simply means you set boundaries and learn to say no when necessary. It's about understanding that you can't pour from an empty cup. Taking care of yourself and prioritizing your goals isn't selfish. It's essential if you want to make a meaningful impact. The key is balance. Being nice and accommodating has its place, but it shouldn't come at the expense of your own well-being or progress. Remember that true success isn't about pleasing everyone. It's about staying true to yourself and your vision. The people who genuinely value and respect you will understand and support your need to set boundaries. And for those who don't, well, maybe they're not the right people to have in your corner. Letting people take advantage of you is one of the most subtle yet destructive habits that can hold you back in life. At first, it might not even seem like a problem. Maybe you're naturally generous or enjoy helping others, and those are admirable qualities. But when generosity and kindness are taken for granted, they can quickly become vulnerabilities. Over time, being taken advantage of not only drains your energy and resources, but also undermines your sense of self-worth and leaves you feeling frustrated and undervalued. When you let people take advantage of you, it often starts with small requests. A coworker might ask you to cover a shift just this once. A friend might borrow money and fail to repay it, or a family member might lean on you for emotional support without ever offering it in return. At first, these moments may not seem significant. After all, helping someone out occasionally feels good and reinforces your identity as a reliable, caring person. But the problem begins when these small acts of help turn into expectations. Instead of occasional favors, people start relying on you consistently, knowing that you'll say yes even if it inconveniences you. The psychological toll of this dynamic can be significant. When others take advantage of your kindness, you may start to feel trapped in a cycle of giving without receiving. This imbalance creates feelings of frustration and resentment, which can erode your relationships over time. You might find yourself thinking, why don't they appreciate what I do? Or why does it feel like no one has my back? These thoughts can spiral into self-doubt, making you question your value and whether people genuinely care about you or simply see you as someone they can use for their own benefit. One of the reasons people allow themselves to be taken advantage of is the fear of confrontation. Saying no can be uncomfortable, especially if you're worried about how the other person will react. You might be afraid of being seen as selfish, unkind, or difficult. This fear often stems from a deep desire to be liked and accepted. For some, the idea of disappointing someone or creating conflict feels unbearable, so they choose to comply, even when it's at their own expense. Unfortunately, this avoidance of conflict only reinforces the behavior. When you don't push back or set boundaries, you're essentially signaling to others that it's okay to continue taking advantage of you. Another contributing factor is the mistaken belief that self-sacrifice is a virtue. Many people grow up internalizing the idea that putting others first is a moral obligation. While there's nothing wrong with being considerate, this mindset can easily be taken too far. If you constantly prioritize others at the expense of your own well-being, you're not practicing kindness. You're neglecting yourself. True generosity comes from a place of abundance, where you give because you want to, not because you feel obligated or pressured. Being taken advantage of also has practical consequences. It can drain your time, energy, and resources, leaving you with less to invest in your own goals and priorities. Imagine the opportunities you've missed because you were busy helping someone else with their responsibilities or solving their problems. The time you spend doing favors for others is time you'll never get back. And while it's important to support the people you care about, it's equally important to recognize when your support is being exploited. The more you allow others to take from you without reciprocation, the more it hinders your personal growth and success. The emotional impact of being taken advantage of shouldn't be underestimated either. Over time, it can lead to burnout, resentment, and even a sense of hopelessness. When you give and give without receiving anything in return, it's easy to feel like your efforts don't matter. This can lead to a diminished sense of self-worth and a loss of confidence. You might start questioning your own judgment, wondering why you allowed yourself to be in this position in the first place. These feelings can spill over into other areas of your life, affecting your work, relationships, and overall well-being. Breaking free from this pattern requires a shift in mindset and a willingness to set boundaries. The first step is recognizing that your time, energy, and resources are valuable. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to them, and it's not your responsibility to solve everyone else's problems. And learning to say no is an essential skill. While it might feel uncomfortable at first, it's a powerful way to protect yourself and ensure that your generosity is not being abused. Remember, saying no to someone else is often a way of saying yes to yourself. It's also important to evaluate your relationships and recognize patterns of behavior. Are there people in your life who consistently take without giving? Do they only reach out when they need something? If so, it might be time to reconsider how much access they have to your time and resources. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and reciprocity. If someone truly values you, they won't expect you to sacrifice your well-being for their benefit. Setting boundaries doesn't mean you stop being kind or helpful. It simply means you prioritize your own needs and ensure that your kindness is balanced and intentional. It's about understanding that you can't pour from an empty cup. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. When you're strong, confident, and fulfilled, you're in a better position to help others in a meaningful way. But if you allow yourself to be drained and taken advantage of, you're not helping anyone. Not even yourself. Indecision and fear of discomfort are two forces that can silently paralyze your progress, holding you back from pursuing opportunities and achieving your goals. These two challenges are often interconnected, feeding off each other and creating a cycle of hesitation, procrastination, and missed chances. While it's natural to feel uncertain or uneasy when facing new or difficult situations, allowing these feelings to dominate your decision-making can lead to stagnation and regret. Indecision often stems from the fear of making the wrong choice. Whether it's a career move, a relationship decision, or even something as seemingly simple as choosing between two plans for the weekend, the weight of making a perfect decision can feel overwhelming. This fear is rooted in the desire to avoid negative consequences or judgment, both from others and yourself. What if you make the wrong choice and regret it? And what if people criticize you? These what-if scenarios play over and over in your mind, creating a mental gridlock that prevents you from taking any action at all. However, what many fail to realize is that not making a decision is in itself a decision. When you avoid choosing, you're essentially choosing to let opportunities slip by, to remain in your current circumstances, and to forego potential growth. Figure out my indecision doesn't eliminate risk. It simply shifts the risk to something more passive, like missing out or staying stuck. And the more you delay, the harder it becomes to break free from the habit of overthinking and inaction. Fear of discomfort often exacerbates this issue. Many decisions require stepping outside your comfort zone, whether it's speaking up in a meeting, taking on a challenging project, or starting a new venture. Discomfort, whether physical, emotional, or psychological, is something most people instinctively avoid. It's human nature to seek pleasure and avoid pain. But this avoidance comes at a cost. Growth, by its very nature, is uncomfortable. It requires confronting uncertainty, pushing through fear, and sometimes enduring temporary setbacks or failures. When you let the fear of discomfort dictate your choices, you deny yourself the opportunity to grow, learn, and ultimately succeed. The irony is that the longer you avoid discomfort, the more powerful and intimidating it becomes. For example, if you avoid having a difficult conversation because it feels awkward or stressful, the problem often grows worse over time. Resentments build, misunderstandings deepen, and what was once a manageable issue becomes a major source of tension. Similarly, putting off a big decision because it feels overwhelming only adds to your anxiety, as the weight of the choice looms larger in your mind with each passing day. Another key factor in both indecision and the fear of discomfort is the tendency to focus on short-term feelings rather than long-term outcomes. It's easy to prioritize immediate relief over future benefits. Saying, "I'll think about it later," or "I'll deal with it tomorrow," may feel good in the moment, but it often leads to greater stress and regret down the line. By avoiding discomfort now, you may be setting yourself up for even greater challenges in the future. For instance, delaying a decision about your career might mean missing out on an opportunity that could have propelled you forward, while avoiding a tough workout today might mean staying further away from your health goals. The fear of discomfort also thrives on the illusion of perfection. People often tell themselves, "I'll act when the timing is perfect," or "I'll make a move when I feel 100% ready." But the truth is, perfection is a myth. There will never be a time when you have all the information, all the skills, or all the confidence you think you need. Waiting for perfection is simply another form of procrastination, and it keeps you stuck in a cycle of inaction. The only way to overcome this is to accept that discomfort and uncertainty are part of the process and to move forward despite them. Breaking free from indecision and fear of discomfort requires a shift in perspective. Instead of viewing discomfort as something to be avoided, see it as a sign of growth. Every time you step out of your comfort zone, you're expanding your capabilities and building resilience. Discomfort is temporary, but the benefits of pushing through it can last a lifetime. Similarly, embrace the idea that making a decision, even if it's not perfect, is better than remaining stuck in indecision. Taking action gives you momentum, and even mistakes can be valuable learning experiences. One effective strategy for overcoming indecision is to set clear priorities. When you know what matters most to you, whether it's personal growth, financial stability, or meaningful relationships, it becomes easier to evaluate your options and make choices that align with your values. Additionally, practice breaking big decisions into smaller, manageable steps. Instead of focusing on the overwhelming weight of the final outcome, take one small action that moves you closer to clarity or resolution. It's also important to reframe your relationship with fear. Fear of discomfort is natural, but it doesn't have to control you. When you feel fear, acknowledge it without judgment and remind yourself that it's a sign you are stepping into new territory. Instead of seeing fear as a stop sign, view it as a green light, a signal that you're challenging yourself and moving toward growth. Ultimately, the cost of indecision and fear of discomfort is far greater than the temporary unease of making a choice or stepping into the unknown. By facing these challenges head on, you open yourself up to a world of opportunities and experiences that would otherwise remain out of reach. Remember, every decision you make and every uncomfortable step you take brings you closer to the life you want. Attracting the wrong people into your life can be one of the most significant ways that being overly nice undermines your success. It's an issue that often goes unnoticed until the consequences have built up over time, leaving you drained, frustrated, and stuck in situations that hinder your growth. When you're too nice, you unintentionally create an environment where people who don't have your best interests at heart are drawn to you. These individuals might take advantage of your kindness, exploit your willingness to accommodate, or use your resources without contributing anything meaningful in return. This pattern is not only harmful to your progress, but also destructive to your confidence and overall well-being. When you prioritize being liked or accepted over setting boundaries, you open the door for people who are more focused on what they can take from you than on building a mutually beneficial relationship. And these individuals might be coworkers, friends, or even family members who recognize that your niceness makes you an easy target. They know that you'll say yes to their requests, step in to solve their problems, or pick up the slack when they fall short, often at the expense of your own priorities. While helping others is admirable, constantly putting their needs ahead of your own sends a message that your time, energy, and goals are secondary. Whenever this dynamic can lead to relationships that are unbalanced and ultimately unsupportive. Over time, this behavior attracts people who thrive on dependency or manipulation. These are the individuals who rarely reciprocate your efforts, offer genuine support, or celebrate your successes. Instead, they become accustomed to your constant giving and start to take it for granted. The result is a cycle where you're expending significant energy on people who drain you emotionally, mentally, and even financially, while receiving little to no value in return. This is not only unfair, but also unsustainable. By surrounding yourself with these kinds of relationships, you end up with less energy and focus to invest in your own growth and goals. One of the biggest challenges of attracting the wrong people is that it often clouds your judgment and limits your ability to recognize opportunities for success. When your time is consumed by meeting the demands of others, you have less capacity to network with individuals who can inspire, challenge, and support you. You might miss out on meaningful connections with people who share your ambitions and can help you achieve your goals, because your energy is being spent managing unproductive relationships. Instead of building a circle of influence that pushes you forward, you're stuck in a web of connections that hold you back. The problem is compounded by the fact that many people who are too nice struggle to enforce boundaries. When you fail to set limits, you inadvertently teach others that it's acceptable to overstep. They may begin to expect your constant availability and willingness to help, regardless of how inconvenient or burdensome it might be for you. This lack of boundaries can create a toxic dynamic where the other person's needs always take precedence, leaving you feeling undervalued. The longer this dynamic persists, the harder it becomes to break free, as these individuals often resist changes that threaten their comfort or convenience. Breaking this cycle requires self-awareness and the courage to make tough decisions about who you allow into your life. It starts with recognizing that not everyone deserves access to your time and energy. While it may feel uncomfortable or even harsh to distance yourself from certain people, it's an essential step in protecting your well-being and creating space for healthier, more supportive relationships. You need to be selective about who you surround yourself with, focusing on those who uplift, encourage, and motivate you. These are the people who will celebrate your achievements, provide constructive feedback, and challenge you to grow. Being selective also means learning to say no without guilt. You don't owe everyone your time or assistance, especially if their demands are preventing you from pursuing your own goals. Saying no is not an act of selfishness, but rather an act of self-respect. It allows you to prioritize your needs and focus on what truly matters, whether that's advancing your career, building meaningful relationships, or achieving personal milestones. By setting clear boundaries, you send a message that your time and energy are valuable and that you won't allow them to be wasted on unproductive or one-sided interactions. It's also important to recognize that attracting the right people into your life requires effort and intention. Seek out individuals who share your values, ambitions, and work ethic. These are the people who will inspire you to reach higher, offer support during challenging times, and hold you accountable to your goal. Building these kinds of relationships takes time and requires you to be open to new experiences and connections. It might mean stepping out of your comfort zone to join professional groups, attend events, or engage in activities where you're likely to meet like-minded individuals. Ultimately, surrounding yourself with the right people is about quality over quantity. It's better to have a small circle of supportive, trustworthy individuals than a large network of relationships that drain you. The right people will respect your boundaries, appreciate your contributions, and encourage you to prioritize your own growth. They won't see your kindness as a weakness, but rather as a strength that complements your determination and drive. These are the relationships that will propel you forward, helping you achieve the success and fulfillment you deserve. Attracting the wrong people doesn't have to be a permanent. By cultivating self-awareness, setting boundaries, and being intentional about your relationships, you can shift your focus toward building a network that empowers and inspires you. When you surround yourself with the right people, you'll find that your energy, motivation, and opportunities for success naturally increase, allowing you to thrive both personally and professionally. Avoiding tough conversations can feel like an easy way to keep the peace, but over time it creates far more problems than it solves. When you shy away from addressing difficult issues, you might think you're protecting yourself from conflict or discomfort. But in reality, you're often allowing misunderstandings, resentment, and unresolved issues to fester. These unspoken problems can grow larger and more complex, ultimately leading to broken relationships, missed opportunities, and a lack of personal or professional growth. The avoidance of tough conversations is not just a short-term escape, it's a long-term obstacle to achieving the clarity and outcomes you truly need. One of the reasons people avoid tough conversations is the fear of confrontation. Confrontation feels uncomfortable because it forces you to face the unknown. You can't predict exactly how the other person will react, and this uncertainty can be intimidating. What if they get angry, defensive, or even cut ties with you? This fear often keeps people stuck in silence, convincing themselves that it's better to say nothing and keep the peace. However, this avoidance doesn't eliminate the issue, it simply pushes it further down the road, where it continues to grow in complexity and impact. When you avoid having tough conversations, you also deny yourself the opportunity to express your needs, boundaries, or feelings. Communication is the foundation of any healthy relationship, whether personal or professional, and avoiding difficult topics creates a communication gap. This gap can lead to misunderstandings, unmet expectations, and a sense of imbalance in your interactions. For example, if you're dissatisfied with a coworker's behavior or feel unappreciated in a personal relationship but choose not to address it, the other person may not even realize there's a problem. They'll continue their behavior unaware of its impact while you silently grow more frustrated or hurt. Over time, this creates resentment, which can eventually damage the relationship beyond repair. Avoiding tough conversations also has a significant impact on your personal growth. Facing difficult situations head-on requires courage, emotional intelligence, and self-awareness, all of which are critical skills for success in any area of life. By avoiding these conversations, you deny yourself the chance to develop and strengthen these skills. Growth happens when you step outside your comfort zone, but when you continually avoid discomfort, you remain stuck in a cycle of fear and stagnation. You miss out on opportunities to learn from challenging situations, gain new perspectives, and build resilience. In professional settings, avoiding tough conversations can be particularly detrimental. Whether it's addressing poor performance with an employee, negotiating for a raise, or providing constructive feedback to a team member, these conversations are often necessary for success and progress. When you avoid them, you risk allowing problems to go unaddressed, which can lead to declining team morale, missed deadlines, or unachieved goals. Additionally, avoiding these conversations can undermine your credibility as a leader or colleague. People may perceive you as indecisive, passive, or unwilling to take responsibility, which can hurt your reputation and limit your career growth. Another consequence of avoiding tough conversations is the toll it takes on your mental and emotional health. Carrying the weight of unspoken issues creates stress, anxiety, and emotional exhaustion. You may find yourself replaying scenarios in your head, overthinking what you should have said or done, and worrying about the potential consequences of addressing the issue. This mental burden can distract you from other priorities, lower your productivity, and affect your overall well-being. Meanwhile, the unresolved issue continues to linger, adding to your stress and making it even harder to address as time goes on. The irony is that tough conversations, while uncomfortable in the moment, often lead to relief and resolution. They provide an opportunity to clear the air, address misunderstandings, and find a path forward. When you approach these conversations with honesty, empathy, and a willingness to listen, you create a space for constructive dialogue. While the conversation may not always go perfectly, taking the initiative to address the issue shows courage and respect for yourself and the other person. It demonstrates that you value the relationship enough to work through challenges rather than ignoring them. Facing tough conversations also helps you build stronger and more authentic relationships. When you're willing to address difficult topics, you show others that you're not afraid to be honest and vulnerable. This can deepen trust and create a foundation of open communication, where both parties feel safe expressing their thoughts and feelings. In the long run, this leads to healthier, more fulfilling relationships, whether with coworkers, friends, family, or romantic partners. It also sets a standard for how you expect to be treated and how you approach challenges, creating a positive ripple effect in your interactions. To break the cycle of avoiding tough conversations, it's important to shift your mindset. Start by recognizing that these conversations are not inherently negative. They are opportunities for growth, understanding, and resolution. It's also helpful to prepare yourself beforehand. Think about what you want to say, how you want to say it, and what outcome you hope to achieve. Approach the conversation with empathy and a focus on finding solutions rather than placing blame or escalating conflict. Remember that discomfort is temporary, but the benefits of addressing the issue can be long-lasting. Practicing tough conversations in smaller, less intimidating situations can also help you build confidence. The more you engage in these discussions, the more comfortable and skilled you'll become at navigating them. Over time, you'll develop a greater sense of self-assurance, knowing that you have the tools and resilience to handle difficult situations effectively. This not only strengthens your relationships, but also empowers you to advocate for yourself and pursue your goals with clarity and confidence. Ultimately, avoiding tough conversations may seem like a way to protect yourself from discomfort, but it only creates more challenges in the long run. By facing these conversations head on, you open the door to resolution, growth, and stronger connections. You demonstrate courage, build trust, and create a foundation for healthier relationships and greater success in all areas of your life. In conclusion, avoiding tough conversations may seem like the easier path, but it ultimately leads to more complications, misunderstandings, and missed opportunities for growth. By facing these challenges head on, we not only resolve issues, but we also build stronger relationships, foster personal growth, and empower ourselves to navigate the complexities of life with confidence. The discomfort of difficult conversations is temporary, but the clarity, understanding, and resolution they bring are lasting. So let's embrace the courage to address the tough topics, knowing that on the other side of that discomfort lies a stronger, more authentic version of ourselves and the relationships we value. Thank you.